Thank you very much for tuning into this one, and I'm sure it's going to bless you as well. But importantly, this video is basically tapping into my new book, Resuscitation Leadership. Because with Resuscitation Leadership, we're talking about decisive leadership that is always time conscious, that understands that the progressive and objectives of the organization are always going to come from this kind of leadership that has an intention of developing and bringing up and raising up an organization that might just be experiencing some death somewhere. I don't know where it is, but surely anybody else who is within the organization would understand exactly where their organization is at. And in order for us to have that kind of leadership, we must be able to identify the qualities of this kind of leaders. And the first quality that I have identified specifically for this video is the quality of competence. Now, competence is knowledge. Knowledge is acquired in two different ways. There is formal acquisition and informal acquisition. Now, when we talk about formal acquisition, we're talking about the acquisition of knowledge through going and attending school. These are people who are qualified for specific tasks or for specific professions or specific jobs. And when we talk about informal, we're talking about these people who may not necessarily have gone to school, but people who are experienced, who have been doing this thing for quite some time. I'm sure as I'm speaking like this, you are already thinking about certain people. Now, a resuscitation leader must definitely be knowledgeable. You cannot resuscitate an organization when you do not have knowledge. You can't bring up an organization from the doldrums or from a bleeding of some sort, whether it's financial or whether it's skills-based. But you can't bring it up if you don't have some kind of competence. And people who have acquired this competence through the informal ways or the formal ways are the ones that are placed to be able to do this kind of task. I'm sure you have enjoyed this one because knowledge that has been acquired, it's always going to be relevant. So even if you have knowledge that you have acquired from school, but if it is not relevant for the particular organization, it does not work. So you need to be able to acquire knowledge which is relevant and specific for this organization. What I'm talking about is you can't actually be an engineer, a civil engineer, but you are operating in the space of retail business, because the two don't really come together unless if you're building the buildings that are housing retail stores. But if you're in the retail business and you're doing the day-to-day of retail, you are in the wrong space. So make sure that when you are in the quest of becoming a resuscitation leader, you need to acquire knowledge that is relevant. Whether you acquire it informally or in a formal way, it does not matter. What matters is you have this knowledge, you have this competence to drive the organization forward. I'm sure you have actually moved straight out of the resuscitation room. You have moved out of that emergency room with this particular one. And I'm sure next time you will be able to hear the next video or watch the next video.